Hey guys, welcome to Review Show. My name's Austin. Wicked for Good stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Alpha, now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, lives in exile hidden within the Ozan forest while continuing her fight for the freedom of Oz's silent animals and desperately trying to expose the truth she knows about the wizard. Like I said in my original review for Wicked that came out last year, I had never seen the musical or read the book. So going into this was all fresh and new for me as an audience member. And the same positivities for the first one is in this one, like the sets down to the performances, the action set pieces, the costumes, all look great. Cynthia Erivo as Alphaba is still great in the film. She has some actual great emotional bits throughout the film, mostly towards the end. You get this, like, you start feeling this tearing up for the character. She's great in the film. Ariana Grande, honestly, still the best part about the whole entire, two films. She plays this cocky, arrogant, kind of like over the top, like, rich kind of type of girl that she's been given everything her whole entire life. And they also take another step with her character in this film where she is starting to realize that she kind of doesn't like everything given to her, and now she kind of has to start earning people's trust on her own and, like, starting to find her own footing. Plenty of things to take away out of enjoyment in this film. And I really enjoyed, like, the second half of the film. My big issue, though, kind of similar issue I had with the first one, but kind of reverse, is the first hour of this movie drags. It's slow, it's boring, it's not interesting, almost in a way to re-explain how we got into this situation from the previous film. And it's just like, it was very unnecessarily needed. It didn't really add much to the film. It was just not, it's just a slog to get through. It wasn't really until when Dorothy showed up where the film started to get actually interesting, but I do have my issues in the second half of the film as well. But it just seems like the first hour was a lot of this resetting up, but also setting up new character arcs that get resolved off screen. And that mostly also has to come to the Dorothy character. And there's a decision for the filmmaker, the director, which I forget his name, John M. Chu? I'm messing up his name completely. He decided to not really have Dorothy to be a vocal point in the film, which I found to be an odd decision when I heard it, and after watching the movie, it was an odd decision because there's so many character development and so many character arcs that were resolved to Alphaba's, demise and like kind of like the overarching story just in general. I find that to be an odd choice to not have their storylines to be an actual character point in the film. It just didn't really make any sense, and it felt like the film felt hollow, and mostly because it's trying to really just stay focused on Alphaba and Glinda. But the problem is, all their story was in the first film. There isn't really much for them to do this second time around. And so it's just like, it's such a strange decision. And the music this time around doesn't really help or make anything else entertaining. I honestly can't really remember any of the music in this film. It's coming from someone that doesn't really love musicals, but I enjoyed the previous one and liked a lot of the musics from that one. Going into this one is kind of a bit of a letdown. It's really hard to get into the film, especially with that first hour, with just a lot of characters kind of just sitting around moping, talking, not really, taking anything serious. And it's that second half of the film when Dorothy kind of shows up, when the film actually starts getting serious, not mostly because it's getting dark or anything. It's the film knew what it wanted to do. It finally found its footing. But by that point, you're an hour into the film, you're already kind of knocked out. This time around, I just wasn't really as much as invested because a lot of the stories were resolved off screen because a lot of the character arcs were revolved around Dorothy. And now people are going to be saying, like, well, Austin, go watch the original Oz. That's what it's meant for. It doesn't excuse that this film is not any better. Because you tell me to go watch something else doesn't make this one any better. It would have been a lot better if they decided to just retell the Dorothy storyline and just have the characters and the new actors where they're going with the story just be in that film, and you can cut back and forth between Dorothy and Alphaba and Glinda. It would have still worked in the same amount of time that the film wanted to be, which was like 2.5 hours long. There was no reason for this movie to be 2.5 hours long with the direction and story style that they were going with in this one. At this point, you could have just taken the last hour of this film and added it on to the previous film and had like a 3.5 hour movie instead of two films, one being really good and the other one just kind of like. If you're someone that really, really enjoyed the first Wicked and likes all these Wizarding Oz films and is a big fan of the musicals, you will probably have a really good time with this movie, but I just don't see the point of it. At this point, you should just go watch the musical again, because not only the musical is actually shorter, it's probably better. The thing I don't get, how did they make a musical that's 3 hours long into a 6 hour movie watch marathon? I don't get how they did that. It's almost 6 hours. It's not really exactly 6 hours. It's probably like somewhere in the 5 hour range. But either way, there is no point. Like, if I was someone that was going to rewatch Wicked for good, I would literally fast forward through halfway through the film to just get to where it starts actually getting interesting, where the actual plot actually starts going forward with the film. So kind of a waste of time in my opinion. I would never really watch it again. It still looks great. Still, I think deserves a lot more credit than most people are getting. But I understand where people are coming from, because it's just it's an odd choice. A lot of the characters' decisions don't make any sense. It feels rushed. It feels anticlimactic at times, but it's still a visually pleasing film. It's just it has a lot more flaws than the first one. I'm gonna give Wicked for Good a C-. That's the best grade I can honestly give it, because there is half of a storyline in this film that we are missing when it comes to Dorothy. Dorothy is such a huge plot point in this section of the story. It's odd that they decide to leave her out of it for most part of the film. And whenever you do see her, there isn't really much dialogue. It's just mostly the side shots of her head, and she's just there. And it's very strange. I don't know why they made that decision. And maybe that's because that's how it is in the play. I don't care. I don't think it works very well in this film. That's just my hard, honest truth about it. And you can disagree all you want if you do. That's just how it is. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you disagree on my thoughts on Wicked for Good? Do you think this is a great sequel, or do you agree with me? Well, no, we'll have a discussion in the comment section below. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and like always, I'll see you guys next review. Bye, guys.